At halftime of the season opener. We didn't even see this one coming. We're breaking it all down right now. It's the Locked On Cardinals podcast. It's Brack and Alex Clancy.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Rise up, Red Sea. What's going on? It's Brack, Alex Clancy, and the Arizona Cardinals dominating after one half of football in Nashville, up 24-6. Alex, it was a rocky start. I mean, everybody was like, what's going on with all these penalties? And you know what? He pulled a Lloyd Christmas and completely redeemed themselves by rattling off 24 points. And what was your biggest takeaway in the first half with the Arizona Cardinals up on the Titans big?
Stop the count. Just stop it. Just end the season. That was as perfect of a first half as the Arizona Cardinals could have put out there. I mean, there's a couple of things that we got to take away. One, Chandler Jones had 3 first quarter sacks. Looks healthy. He's a 30-year-old in a 31-year-old's body. Pay him at halftime. Number one. Number two, J.J. Watt. Looks like he's an NFL player still. J.J. Watt got behind the line of scrimmage more than you would expected. Zaven Collins, Isaiah Simmons, Byron Murphy, Budda Baker. You notice I'm talking about all of the defensive players. Isaiah Simmons, the biggest play, I mean, the strip sack was fine because it led to a touchdown. The biggest play for me in the first half on defense was Isaiah Simmons' goal line stop of Derrick Henry. Just absolutely will against will, linebacker against, I mean, I guess you'd call Derrick Henry a linebacker, just stopped him cold in his tracks on the 1 yard line. And, Ryan Tannehill ended up scoring, but you take that 100 times out of 100. And that dude said, you know what? I'm no longer lost. I'm an NFL player now. You can trust me for the linebacker position moving forward. And everything happened. The pass rush worked, which masked the cornerback room. And the rest is history on defense, at least.
And they really haven't had to mask the cornerback room. It's looked solid. Byron Murphy looks like he's on his way to becoming a household name as far as the cornerback position. I mean, right out of the gates, he makes the big, knocks down the first pass he sees. He makes a couple other big plays. Marco Wilson's playing well. I thought this defense gave this opportunity to the offense to kind of find itself. It came out, outside of the penalties, it looked good, but they couldn't get out of their own way. And the defense gave them an opportunity to kind of find their form. And, Kyler Murray, 3 total touchdowns in the first half, 2 in the air, to both the DeAndre Hopkins, 2 very different looking pass plays. And then he rushes it in, makes it look easy. The offense, most of it goes one direction. Kyler Murray goes the other, and he's in easily. I mean, this was a great half of football for the Arizona Cardinals. Now they got to close it out. And now they got to, this is putting the rest of the NFL on notice. I mean, if they come out of Nashville with a big win, if they can continue to dominate and make it look like they have in the first half, some people better be paying attention.
Yeah, and what we said would be the ideal attack on defense specifically is what's happening. Derrick Henry has become completely neutralized. The Cardinals have 5 more rushing attempts than Derrick Henry has yards. So when you look at that, or 6 more rushing attempts than Derrick Henry has yards. So it's ideal. It's very Julio Jones. I don't know where he's been. A.J. Brown, they haven't been able to get anything going defensively. Offensively for the Cardinals, 5 receivers caught passes, the top 5 on the depth chart, as it were. Chase Edmonds had that scamper for a bunch of yards that'll balloon the numbers a little bit into the half. But Kyler Murray, 200 passing yards. He only rushed the ball a couple times. Like, this is exactly the blueprint for what the Cardinals offense needs to look like if they want to win games this year. And DeAndre Hopkins getting the first red zone target pass across the middle with his slow carousel turnaround to wide open Green onto pay dirt. I mean, You cannot really ask for more offensively, except for, the handful of penalties early on, which I guess you can just say is cobwebs. And the AJ Green, I saw a lot on Twitter, AJ Green and Christian Kirk running into each other. That's going to be much ado about nothing. They just haven't been on the field a lot together as of yet.
Right. I mean, you're not going to perfection. That's what a lot of people are looking for. But look, they look solid. And I'll tell you one thing: when the Titans got on the board, finally, Ryan Tannehill, he finds his way into the end zone after a couple stops at Derrick Henry. I thought the next drive was an incredible answer by this Arizona Cardinals offense. It was a 3rd down and 10. Kyler Murray was under pressure. He makes the poise move, steps up, shakes, bakes, and then makes a great throw. It was the first reception for Rondale Moore of his career and moves the chains. And then that really just kind of sparked the offense. Next thing you know, they're down and they're finding the end zone and they're tacking on this lead. Exactly what they needed to do and to keep the pressure on the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I mean, can we talk? Is James Conner 6'8"? He looks like a behemoth in that backfield with Chase Edmonds and Kyler Murray. Yeah, the stiff arm for negative
Rest
1 yards.
In peace, Jackrabbit Jenkins.
Yeah, that was a good tweet, Bo. James Conner caught a jackrabbit with the latest stiff arm. But what we did see from James Conner was inside the red zone. He had a scamper, got to about the 3 or 4 yard line that set up Kyler Murray's play action bootleg for the touchdown. James Conner looks spry. I mean, he's never been the fastest dude. What'd you say? He ran a 4.6 or something? Yeah. Never been the fastest guy. But cornerbacks aren't going to be able to tackle him. I mean, what we saw was exactly what you wanted to see from every new face. Every face needed to answer questions. Everything in the first half. Everything was answered the way you wanted it to be answered. I mean, AJ Green got into it. He had a heel out of bounds. He would have had 2 receptions for 20 yards or so if that weren't the case, or 3 receptions. So, I mean, you got to be happy. And even Marco Wilson had a helmet-to-helmet hit, but had a nice hit to keep the Titans from getting a first down. So, right. I mean, you saw everything.
Yeah, you did. You saw a lot of what you liked. And, I saw a question here in the chat. I was looking forward to bring it up here and put it on the screen. But, what are our thoughts on the running game? And you mentioned James Conner looks spry. I think that Chase Edmonds looks equally as spry, but we know of him more of the speedy, shifty running back anyway. But we're going to see a lot of this running game in the second half. I mean, at least you would hope so. You're sitting on a lead. It's now to kind of take the air out of the football a little bit. We're talking about 1st to 30 potentially to win this game. Arizona Cardinals, that's well within reach. One, at least one more score away, and we're going to really see what this run game's all about here in the second half. I would assume so.
So let me ask you, if you had to pick one, which side of the ball are you more impressed with? Sure, the offense is playing against against a not so great defense, but this offense of Tennessee isn't as inept as the Cardinals defense is making it look like up to this point. Even with their offensive line. I mean, Taylor Lewan looked like me trying to block Chandler Jones.
Right. I mean, you still want to see this. I was impressed. I thought that the defense set the tone in this game, and then the offense kind of piggybacked that, followed it up and said, okay, it's time for our time to shine. And it was like first quarter defense, second quarter was the offense, and it was just a perfect mix of them really just dominating this game. I mean, you just got to love what you've seen. DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, playing like the stars that they are. So is Chandler Jones. You mentioned J.J. Watt was getting in there, and making things a living hell for Ryan Tannehill. I mean, it was just someone had said, why weren't we talking about Marco Wilson? Because there's so many guys that stood out. I love Rondale Moore in the punt game. I mean, this was just a great half of football for the Arizona Cardinals.
I mean, if this pass rush is going to be like this, the Cardinals can have a top 5 defense.
Right.
I mean, this pass rush has given zero space for Ryan Tannehill to do anything. And he's a mobile guy. His 2 best plays were the scamper for a touchdown, and that scamper he had to set up a field goal that Michael Badgley missed. Yeah. So, I mean, everything. And this is a road game. The Cardinals have 9 road games and 8 home games. They come back home to play Minnesota, who looks completely inept against Cincinnati. Yep. I mean, but here's the thing. Like, let's come back down from the clouds for just a minute. There's still another half of football. We've seen a lot crazier things. The Cardinals have trouble coming out in the third quarter. You need to see not a sub 2-minute time of possession, offensive possession for the Cardinals coming out of the second half because they get the ball. This is where you could set the tempo. This is where great teams go down, jam it down their throat and score a touchdown and go up 31-6. Go up 4 scores. That's what you do here.
And this is where you're going to see the difference between the type of pass rushers that J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones are, and then what you fielded last year. Like Hassan Reddick was great. He had 12.5 sacks, but a lot of those, he had 5 in one game against the New York Giants. This is where you see some bunch of sacks early on, but then the inability to kind of keep up that pace of play. These guys, they got to continue to keep it at that pace and turn it up a notch. You're exactly right. It was beautiful what we saw. The front 7 looked as special as we talked it needed to be. And if they can do that, yeah, they can keep this Tennessee Titans offense that's really trying to knock the cobwebs off. Still hasn't really. They can continue to keep them quiet. I mean, they have the ability to do that. Can they continue to play at that level? I think it's possible. In the Cardinals should walk out of here with a W.
Alex Clancy, Bo Brock, Locked on Cardinals. You will find us here every halftime of every game during the 2021 season for the Arizona Cardinals. Follow him at Bob Brack. Follow me at Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked on AZ Cards. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And yeah, man. I mean, if we get more halftimes like this, Bo and I might start liking each other. I mean, sweet mother, the possibilities are absolutely endless. So Tennessee can chip away at a lead like this. Let's just, before we get out of here, they have the pieces to do it. What the Cardinals need to do, this is where you don't play for the clock to run out. You literally can open up the entire Cliff Kingsbury playbook. You want to try some things for the third quarter? This is when you do it. Okay. Right. You cannot allow deep chunk passes down the sidelines. You're not playing prevent defense at this point. You just need to kind of, put the NFL on notice, as Bo mentioned. Through one half, the offense for the Arizona Cardinals is the best offense in the NFL through one half of the 2021 season in the morning games. It's true.
Bad.
From what we've seen.
We saw 31 points from it was aided by a pick. Yeah, it was a pick. Yeah. But the NFC West is dominating. I mean, the Rams haven't played, but the three teams that are playing right now are kicking the crap out of their opponents. The Colts are losing to the Seahawks, and the Niners are taking care of business against the Detroit Lions. So, it's pretty much going, it's chalk. It's on par with what we expected. Second half, what I'm looking for is this run game to take it up a notch and really kind of really take the air out of the football and accelerate that clock here for the Cardinals to get out of here with a W.
Yeah, for sure. And this is what we talk about, bringing a guy like James Conner in. I always use the LeGarrette Blount example with New England. They're up 15 points, 14 points going into the fourth quarter, midway through the third. Yeah. You have a guy that can gain 4 yards a carry, move the sticks, and there's a difference between running the clock out, hoping it'll run out, and running effective plays to allow it to run out faster while keeping the opposing offense off the field. You don't want to throw any interceptions, no bad plays. This is where Kyler throwing the ball away is going to be the best part of his game when there's nothing open. Just finish it out, get a W, come home, and face Patrick Peterson next week.
Yeah, the angry Cliff Kingsbury mob, they can put their torches down just for a little bit. But and then people are pissed early on, obviously, in that we did see Cliff. He was getting after the referees because he felt like they were taking a lot of his play clock away, and he had to burn 2 early timeouts. Let's see it. It's going to be fun. Another second half. We're going to have, of course, our podcast to recap the entire Cardinals-Titans game. We're going to have that for you later tonight. You'll have it before Monday. We'll post it, of course. Follow at Locked On AZ Cards for all the updates. Alex, any parting words before we head to the second half?
Put your foot on their throat and get a W and come home.
We'll talk to you guys soon. It's Bo. It's Alex. It's Locked On Cardinals. Thanks for